Welcome to hell. There is no escape. There is no escape. You are in my control now. Welcome to hell.
Yo, welcome to Hell Team Doom. This is another episode of Let's Talk About Horror. And it's your boy Walter Doom back for another episode. And we are in episode 87. So crazy. I mean, I can't believe this has been 87 episodes, you know. And if you want to follow me, your boy's social medias are Walter Doom on Instagram, the Walter Doom on TikTok and Twitter, and Walter Doom everywhere else that involves streaming. If you are watching this on or listening to this on YouTube, make sure you give your boy a like and a subscribe and give me them thumbs up, you know, or leave a comment about anything about this show that you feel, you know, whatever. You know, I always feel like I never add that shit on there. Sometimes I even forget, like, hey, bro, kind of need to give the YouTube audience some love, you know, like, you know, people who listen to this shit on YouTube, hey, maybe they end up liking this shit, you know, like, yeah, give your boy a listen to, you know, follow me, subscribe, do it. Nah. But anyway, I've been gone for a minute. The last time y'all heard from me was with me and Megan's World, and we were talking about not Midsummer, the fuck. We were talking about Don't Worry, Darling. I mean, fortunately, the same actress that was in Midsummer was in that movie too. But yeah, your boy has been gone for a minute. Unfortunately, I caught a cold. And it was a very bad cold that really affected my voice. So throughout the time when I was sick, I couldn't really talk or say much of anything because I was unable to, you know. and I had to miss work on my real life, you know, my real life shit that I do every day. And it's funny because it's like I don't know, man. It's like I don't know if y'all have the same problems. Maybe it's just, you know, job situations or conditions. But yeah, I mean, when I was calling off because I couldn't talk, you know, tell me why, you know, I get a phone call from the job, like as if I was going to answer that phone call. I'm like, bro, I can't even speak. How, like, what, you need full proof that I can't speak? I mean, it's funny because it's like, I know some people, I know some of y'all fake being sick. I mean, almost all of us are guilty of doing that a time or another. I'm not going to say almost all of us. I'm pretty sure all of us are guilty of doing that a time or another, you know, faking being sick because we weren't feeling the job the day, you know. But, yeah, that day I was not feeling it. I wasn't feeling good at all. Yeah, I couldn't speak, and yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't really come out with any other episodes in that month of January. So, yeah, my apologies to anybody that was looking forward to hearing my voice on the mic and what have you. But while I was sick, I had the best time kind of like discovering different things, reading different books, starting to get into more drawing and designing again because for a lot of you guys that probably don't know, you know, I went to school for graphic design, so trying to get back into that, you know. I'm working on something right now. But it's a secret though. Y'all see it pretty soon though. I'm halfway through it. So the person that knows the design that I'm doing for them, I'm be giving that to them soon. But yeah, your boy's trying to get back on the design game. I mean, I'm the one that's designing all the thumbnails. So I'm not gonna say like I'm totally not designing at all, but I wanna get into more like, designing for others, you know? You know what I'm saying? I mean, we all have our aspirations. We wanna do our own thing and get paid for it, obviously, doing things that we love. I mean, I love doing the podcast, but I do love graphic design and art, man. I mean, that's like one of my first few loves as a child, as well as like, music and horror movies, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, just trying to get back into that. So just some discoveries. I discovered a couple of new games that I've been addicted to. Probably like some of the youth will agree. Some of my old heads will agree with the other one that I'm into. So first game I'm getting into is Rocket League. For the younger generation, they already know what this shit is. But for like all the old head gamers out there, it's pretty much a video game that's like you're racing as cars, but you're playing a soccer game. Crazy ass concept, very easy to play, very fun at that. I would say like the only thing that's really challenging about this game, that's not frustrating like as if you're playing like NBA 2K, is just the whole kind of like maybe skills gaps. Sometimes it could be a little detrimental. Sometimes there are toxic people that are on the game that's playing on there. Sometimes you get like some kids that are just like, dude, why am I teamed up with this kid that doesn't know anything about sports, But for the most part, this game is fun. Another game that I'm getting into has been Monopoly. All my old heads out there, we know what Monopoly is like. All the young cats out there, I'm pretty sure y'all know about Monopoly too. Pretty sure some people have family nights and it does get very competitive and aggressive and what have you. But I'm gonna say this, like, as far as like playing it on the PlayStation, and I can't help but say like it's probably the most and it's ironic to say it's the most relaxing game I could play where I don't have to think too much because all I'm doing is just shooting the dice and grabbing properties. Sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. I don't really get too frustrated. I do get frustrated when motherfuckers passing up my property. Don't get me wrong. We all get frustrated when motherfuckers pass up our property, We sitting there like, oh yeah, computer, you about to come over here to this fucking Park Place, my dude. Come on now. Roll that fucking 7. And the motherfucker rolls 8. And it's just like, God damn it. It's like, yo, okay. I got 4 hotels on this fucking Park Place and I haven't collected shit from y'all yet. But yeah, I really do enjoy that Monopoly game on the PlayStation. I found it on sale in the PlayStation store for like $5 or under $5 or some shit like that. Rocket League it's a free game, so I mean, any of you old heads out there, that game and play on the PlayStation, what have you. And it's cross-platform too, so no matter what you're on, if you're on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, the suck box, aka Loving's not starting any wars. Yeah, if you're on any of those systems, I don't know if it's on Nintendo. I don't really recall if they do have Rocket League on the Nintendo Switch. If they do, I'm sorry, Nintendo fans. I don't own a Nintendo. I haven't owned a Nintendo since probably the 64. So yeah, I'm sometimes like oblivious to what games are on you guys' system, but I do like that damn Mario Kart, and I low-key want to play Mario Party. I'm just saying. As far as movies, one movie that I watched that was really interesting, and that's gonna be our first Black History Month movie that we're gonna talk about. Oh yeah, shout out to everyone that's black out there. That's such a bad shout out. But anyway, happy Black History Month, everybody. Let's celebrate in the next coming days of black horror and black actors and just like black businesses out there. And let's not only just do that for a month, but let's do that for the whole year. A movie that I watched that was very hilarious and was very rave talked about was Tiffany the motherfucking doll. And we're not talking about Chucky's girl. Now we are talking about the movie starring Mahogany Darkberry. And she stars as the titular character Tiffany. So Tiffany is this sex doll that is created, and this sex doll goes on a murderous rampage. And it's just not her. It's like numerous other dolls that go on a rampage as well. But the thing is, what made me want to watch Tiffany the doll is because it's been very raved about on Instagram lately. I guess also on TikTok. I'm obviously not on TikTok as much. I mean, I post on there when I post. You guys know that for those that follow me, but it's been raved about on social media a lot. People have been talking about how bad this movie really is, and it really got me going. Back in the day, I used to watch a lot of Tubi movies before I started this podcast. For me, my Friday, Saturday night would be, just having like a nice little drink, nice little bit of food, and turning on Tubi and watching those movies until like about fucking sometimes even like 3, 4 in the morning. For the most part, I try to like pick movies that like, okay, if it looks silly enough, if it has a silly enough title, I'm gonna watch that film, and that's gonna be the film of the night before I go to sleep or pass out. Whichever one comes first. But yeah, this movie, Tiffany the Doll, has been raved about so much on social media. And I had to like watch it for myself. And the one thing I gotta say, first, I watched it a couple of times. First watch, I was like, oh my God, this movie is so bad. It's so bad. But then I took a second watch and I was like, it's bad, but it's good. And I'm going to say why it's so bad it's good. I'm going to give you all the reasons why. First off, it's like the most obvious. Don't take this movie serious. Do not take this movie serious. Yes, I get it. They probably presented this film as like a serious film. But I'm going to be honest, like, I was laughing on the second watch. I was hysterical. This movie is so ridiculous with like all the angles and all the storylines that come into play. I mean, first off, let's start off by saying there is no real plot to this film. It's a sex doll killing a bunch of people. Like, come on now. Like, and I kid you not, I was trying to find a plot to the story, but I could not find one. You know what I'm saying? Like, I tried my best. I was like, okay, where's the plot? Where's the plot? Why are they doing this? Where does it all come in? Like, why? I was looking for so much why instead of just sitting there and being like, let the movie do its thing. And that's what you gotta do. You gotta let this movie do its thing. You can't sit there and expect it to be like this deep, introspective. If you're looking for that, it's not gonna be that. Or you're looking for something that's like emulating like other slasher killer doll movies like The Boy or Chucky or anything like that. Like, no, don't expect any of that. Just watch the movie and take it all in. Here's some things that I noticed on my second watch. First off, let's talk about like for the fact that this is an all black cast in a slasher film. Now, there are other like slasher films that are all black cast. I mean, you got Thriller. Um, that's the first movie I could name off the top of my head right now. I'm pretty sure there's countless others, but the main thing that I want to say is that the thing about like most most predominantly black films, there's usually like a white person or a person of another race sprinkled into the film, for diversity reasons. In this film, everybody is like black. It's no white people, no Latinos, no Asians, just black people in this film. And it's just not black people in there, like just straight up ghetto from LA black. No, there's like people of like different status quos. And actually, I feel like a lot of the people that were portrayed in this film were more financially stable and had really good jobs, which is so unrealistic in real life, by the way, because a lot of, minorities in LA very much struggling. But it's interesting to see a movie that takes these same people who are demonized in like mainstream culture are being presented as like outstanding citizens that are financially well off, and they're not like dependent on things like crime just to get by. And the reason why I say that, because in the movie, there's the dolls, the Tiffany dolls, and they have this other doll called Henry, but we'll get to Henry in a moment. But the Tiffany dolls themselves in the film, we learn that they cost about $10,000. Now, eventually in the film, they end up having like commercials that are selling off the dolls, and they end up having like a lot of people owning those $10,000 dolls. Now, they have plans to get these dolls. So they have like three different plans. They have like you could pay up front, debit, credit, whatever you want to pay. You have layaway. Then they have another thing called 30-day financing. Now, here's my thing. This is what caught my attention the most, was the 30-day financing. I was thinking to myself, like, who the hell is financing these dolls? It's like, and I think about like the dolls in like a car sense, like how you purchase a vehicle. Because, you have to do like the financing for the vehicle, you got the 5 years or blah, whatever your credit might entail for you to pay for your car, depending on, how much you make and what your credit score is like. But my thing was like, these motherfucking dolls are on a 30-day financing charge. Who the fuck is financing these dolls? And it made me think like, okay, if you can't make your payment, because they're talking about 30-day financing, and I'm pretty sure they want all their money in 30 days. And I'm like, who the fuck is paying in 30 days? Like, who's making this money? Like trap lords? Like, what the fuck? Like, come on now. But I'm thinking to myself, like, who the hell is paying for these dolls? And if you don't make your payment, are they repoing your sex doll? Like, and I'm really wondering, like, yo, that's wild if they're repoing. Like, I'm just imagining somebody pays for their doll. They take it home, they have their fun with their Tiffany doll. They doing all sorts of things, banging her out and all that. Some people, some people just, that they don't like to pull out, they like to leave the spoon in for a little bit, or sour cream into the taco and what have you, and yeah, like things could get pretty nasty after a while, and I'm just thinking like, if somebody is missing payments on this doll, are they taking this cream-filled donut doll back? Are they repoing this doll and taking it back and then reselling it to someone else? I don't know, man. Like, somebody help me out here, because this sounds really gross to me. Because, I mean, I'm just like, okay, I can understand paying in full and then paying on layaway. The financing part, I'm just like, what? And maybe I'm wrong about what I'm thinking, but in my head, this is what I'm thinking in my head because I'm just a disgusting freak, you know? But I'm thinking in my head, like, bro, are they paying for the doll on financing and taking it home and banging the doll and then getting the doll repo if they don't pay all of it in full? I don't know, man. I mean, I got my phone on financing. I'm just saying, we get our phones on financing nowadays. We don't even pay our phones in full anymore. So I'm thinking in my head, like, yo, hey, yo, hey, yo, that's wild. So I don't know. I was thinking about that. But yeah, just all that disgustingness on the side. Yeah, like everybody is they sound like a lot of people are financially stable. And I mean at a certain point, everybody in that LA area was owning a sex doll and they were taking their sex dolls out, which is very funny to me, by the way. It's like, who the hell is taking their sex doll out for a dinner date and what have you? And it's so weird because it's like everybody's like, oh yeah, you could just like not only take them for sex, but you know, they could be a companion, you know, someone you could confide in. And it's just like, bro, how are you getting all that from a sex doll? Yeah, it was very funny just to hear that. I mean, and not only that, they also had commercials for the sex. They actually mentioned that there were commercials for these sex dolls. And I'm thinking to myself, like, hey, yo, what time are they airing these dolls, my boy? Like, what time are you putting them on television? Like, cause you can't put that shit on prime time. Like, what the fuck? It's like, what are you doing? Are you watching the Lakers game? And then when they hit commercials, they're like, yeah, have you felt alone? Unwanted? Well, come and get your Tiffany the doll. She comes in all colors, shapes, and sizes. And she vibrates too. Oh, yeah, and we also got a Henry doll if you want to switch it up. It's like, yo, hey, yo, like, that's wild. I mean, I don't know, man. Maybe it's more like some type of like, you know, Aaron on BT uncut type shit, and you know, all you hear is booty butt, booty butt, booty butt cheeks. You know, like I don't know, man. Like that had me wondering, like, what time are they airing this motherfucker out? Like for people to see this as an ad on a commercial, and I mean, I could get like, okay, yeah, they probably have it on like the websites, but I'm telling you right now, even with like fucking Instagram, you know, like Instagram commercials that are dealing with like sex toys, because I see like a lot of sex toy ads, not because I follow those things, but because of the influencers that are promoting that stuff. I see that stuff, and even with those things, they gotta be clever with. So I'm thinking to myself, like, how are they putting this shit in a commercial unless like a lot of people are just on porn, which is not a surprising thing. Cause I could see them actually putting that Tiffany the doll shit on like Pornhub or X videos or some shit like that, you know? But other than that, I mean, yeah, like it's interesting to see like how they were representing the people in there. And not only that, they also had like a lot of characters represented in a very way of all colors, shapes, and sizes. And I would have to say, like, for me, I mean, I don't see many black films representing, you know, more of like the heavy set dark skinned women or dark skinned women in general as beautiful. But this movie really does promote like beauty and just like positive affirmations for the dark skinned women, you know? Because usually, I mean, our perception, at least for like early on, and I mean, I feel like it might be a thing to this day where more light skinned women of black descent are just more, I guess, marketable in a Hollywood sense, you know, are being more praised or being looked as like the beauty figure and what have you. I was watching this video dealing with like Disney once, and it was talking about how like with Disney, they were more into like actresses that look like Zendaya or Raven Simone, but people like Keke Palmer, they didn't really try to fuck with that much because they were more of a darker complexion. And it's on YouTube. I mean, it's not anything I'm making up. It's on YouTube, and if I can find that video, I'll link it on the channel on the fuck, what's that shit in the descriptions. I had a brain fart for a moment, but so to see a movie where like Mahogany Darkberry, you know, dark skinned female, being used as this femme fatale and also the sexual idolization for like men and women, by the way, I thought it was a beautiful thing to see. I mean, it doesn't get any more positive than that. The most I have seen with a black female being that type of character is the only movie that comes to the top of my head is Cynthia Bond when she played the Temptress in Death by Temptation. You know, she played that succubus who was trying to get Joel and what have you. And, you know, you had Kadeem Hardison in that movie who at first thought he was going to get at her, but she ended up blowing him off because she wanted to corrupt the church boy and what have you. With this film, it kind of takes that same approach. So instead of like a lighter skinned black female, it ends up being like a dark skinned female who is the idolization for everyone to, you know, want to get. Also, Shaquilla Scott, who plays Cherie in the film, she was depicted as a happily married woman. Even though they had like marriage struggles in the film, she was a heavy set, dark skinned woman who was in a marriage. And you really do not see that type of depiction in films. I can't recall many films where you see a dark skinned, heavy set woman in a marriage where she's just happily married with the guy and, you know, he's not out there cheating on her like it's a Tyler Perry movie, you know? And again, yeah, we do see like the couple have a little bit of marriage struggles, but it's not even like, oh, he doesn't like pay attention to me anymore because he's fucking another woman. No, it's more like we're not having sex anymore because he's too busy and, you know, I want to get fucked and, you know, I don't know what he's doing, blah blah blah. Like, you know, that it was kind of that. And you see in the film Dustin, the character that's married to Cherie, he wasn't even doing dirt. Like the guy was literally just working. He wasn't doing dirt. And I do like the fact that it was that depiction over anything else that's like, oh, well, he's out there cheating. Oh, he's doing something illegal, you know, something like that, you know? I could be wrong about like what I'm saying, but I mean, if you guys could think of another movie, I mean, the only movie that I could think of where like you had a woman that was just like Cherie, is only Wunmi Mosaku. I feel like I'm butchering her name, but she played Riyal Majur in His House, and I feel like she's like probably the only best example I could think of on a mainstream sense that Cherie and Dustin was like in Tiffany the Doll. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and take a break real quick. When I come back, I'm going to continue my thoughts about Tiffany the Doll. So like in a scary movie, you shouldn't say. I don't know why I paused like that, by the way. I don't even know what the fuck is up with that pause. Like you shouldn't say in a scary movie. I'll be right back. And we are back now, and I'm going to continue my thoughts about Tiffany the doll. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna jump into one of the characters that are on the film. And this guy, he doesn't play like a main character at all. I mean, he's like more of like a minor character that ends up getting killed. But the thing is, it's with him in the movie, it made the movie even more hilarious. You know, more so than the other characters. I don't know why he was the one that stuck out the most to me, besides Tiffany and everyone else. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump into this dude that I like to label bootleg Paul Pierce. Now, I don't know if you guys know who Paul Pierce is. I mean, for my basketball fans out there, we all know who Paul Pierce is. But for those that don't know, Paul Pierce is a basketball player who is majority known for playing with the Boston Celtics. He ended up playing in the Washington Wizards and the Los Angeles Clippers. I mean, the Los Angeles Clippers. Let me not be disrespectful, but that was a slip of the tongue for a moment. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much who Paul Pierce is. Right now, he's pretty much an NBA analyst right now. I forget with who. I think it's with TNT. I think it is, but it might be NBA TV. But no, I think it is TNT because I do see him on some of the Sunday games when basketball is on ABC and all that. But either way, just know that's who he is. Now, when we first see this character, we basically see him at this presentation scene. So basically, there's a presentation for these dolls. In this presentation, we are introduced to Dr. Love, but we don't know her name is Dr. Love at first, you know? So at this place, we meet this character called Keisha. She's with her friend. They walk into the store called Guilty Pleasure. This is important. I kind of skipped over it at first, but this is important because this is pretty much like the place where everything goes down. And let me add another thing. It's so funny with this movie because it looks like they obviously filmed at like 3 people's houses, you know? And most of the scenes look like it's just in somebody's house. I mean, it's so funny because like the office that Dustin works in, it looks like it's literally somebody's unfinished garage, like that's being converted into an office. I'm just like, yo, whose house y'all filming in? I mean, and in the club scene where Dustin is with this one guy who ends up taking this girl home. And he's telling her like, oh yeah, I'm about to do you with no condom, which is nasty, by the way. Like, why are you gonna fuck some random chick at the club with no condom? Like, come on, man. That's how niggas catch fucking herpes and shit like that. Come on, man. But that scene literally looked like it's just filmed in somebody's fucking game room or living room. That's just like been converted into a club. And that same fucking club is being used as a fucking restaurant where Cherie brings Tiffany the doll and everything like that. It's so fucking hilarious. I'm just like, yo, who came up with these set locations? Like, and I'm not even gonna like gloss over the fact that there was a scene that was shot in the day, but it was supposed to be a scene at night, and the night scene was shot with the scene that was shot in the day. And it's so funny to anybody who actually realizes this inconsistent time of day happening, because this is supposed to be something that's happening all at once. But anyway, we're not going to talk about all that, but those things were hilarious to me because I'm just like, yo, these people really was like, hey bro, I got a shift at like 8 o'clock tonight, so I can't even do this night scene, you know? And probably the person filming was like, hey yo, we got this written out for like probably like a couple more days, so we gotta get this scene shot, you know? But I mean, hey, I hope these people get paid from Tubi, bro. I hope, for the fact that it's being so talked about, I hope these people get paid. I'm not even gonna lie. I hope these people get paid. But anyway, going into bootleg Paul Pierce. So we're at guilty pleasures, right? We're introduced to Keisha, and she is like one of the main characters. So there's this security guard. His name is Marcus. He checks her ID and what have you, right? And it's like she seems like she goes there pretty often, more times than one. For what reason, I don't even know. But anyway, she goes in, she brings a friend with her. They go to this presentation. We're introduced to Dr. Love, but we don't know her name is Dr. Love. Played by Misty Grandy, by the way. So shouts out to her for her role in that movie. We're introduced to the dolls. So, like I mentioned before, they have these dolls, both male and female. Majority of them are female, and the females come in all shapes and sizes, which is very positive, in my opinion, that they had that type of representation and display for those characters in a movie. Despite the fact that this movie is very goofy, there's some good parts to it. But so Dr. Love introduces the Henry doll, and I don't know how this actor felt about this. I believe his name was Marquise Glover, I believe. Yeah, Marquise Glover. And he played the Henry doll. Now, the funny thing, I mean, I'm not, you know, gonna discriminate or talk shit about the dude. I mean, the dude was pretty fit, but for him to play the Henry doll, I really do wonder what was going on in his head when he was getting felt up by the women in this film. So we start off with like, you know, the Dr. Love. She's introducing Henry the doll. She brings a random woman onto the stage. This woman has no lines at all, by the way, but she looks bomb as fuck. I mean, oh my God. But that's beside the point. But anyway, she's on stage filling up Henry the doll, but she doesn't like touch him like a normal person. You know, she doesn't touch his arms. No, this girl goes full on down. She drops it low, down to her knees, right to the dude's crotch. I mean, I'm gonna say this. I don't know how many takes they did with this scene, but if that girl did the same thing on me, I mean, something would have poked her eye out. I'm just saying, like, I'm just saying, like, she was bomb looking, but it's like, yo, girl dropping down on me, like, you know, she's filling me up like that. I'm just saying, like, something might come out and just slap her, you know, like, you know, I'm just saying. But the first girl, she fills up Henry. Second girl is Keisha. Keisha comes up, starts filling on Henry. She's touching on his chest, on his arms, and she's just rubbing up on him, and she's just like, ooh, you know, rubbing on his stomach. And I'm just saying, man, something might have been like twitching, you know, if they was rubbing on me like that, you know. But I'm just saying, you know, shouts out to Marquise for just holding his composure throughout this film, because I'm pretty sure they had to take several takes of that shit, you know. And then, after Keisha was done rubbing up on him, Dr. Love was rubbing up on him. And I'm just saying, Dr. Love was grabbing ass and everything. Like, she looked like she was grabbing a handful. You don't really see the handful grab, but you could tell when someone is grabbing a handful of ass. I mean, we all been there where we grab a handful of ass, or we seen somebody grab a handful of ass. You know, whether it's a male grabbing his woman's ass, or a female grabbing her man's ass, or, you know, a dude grabbing his dude's ass, or female grabbing her female's ass. I mean, or them's grabbing their them partner's ass, you know, whatever. We don't discriminate on this show, by the way. Come on now, everybody's included in this motherfucker. But anyway, I'm just saying, like, imagine somebody with their partner grabbing their ass in public. We've seen that so many times. I mean, I've grabbed my girl's ass in public many times, but it's funny to see this in a movie, and you're just like, hey, yo, like, hey, yo, what are they doing? Like, this man was getting violated, like, and it was hilarious, because I'm thinking of myself. I'm thinking of myself in this scenario, and I'm not a good actor by any stretch of the imagination. That shit was wild to me. So besides all that, they Philip Henry, they introduced the Tiffany dolls, and I hate to introduce the Tiffany dolls like this, but it's so funny because like Dr. Love is like, okay, for the fellas, I know you've been waiting for this, and you hear one guy go, hell yeah. And it's so funny because it's like, you will hear that shit. I can picture myself being at that presentation, being an audience member, and hearing, and we all know, us black folks, we know how we are. We know how we are, when we congregate together sometimes. And we're not on no bullshit. We out there just cracking jokes and being funny as hell. And like for her to go like, yeah, Phyllis, I got what you looking for. Here's what's coming up next. And you hear one guy go, hell yeah. like my dude was excited. He was excited for those dolls, my boy. But anyway, they introduced the Tiffany dolls, and the Tiffany dolls don't get felt up or anything, which I could understand why. I mean, I'm pretty sure the actresses that were in the films, they were probably like, I don't know about these dudes filling me up in this movie. I know it's a movie, but yeah, we're not gonna do that today. You gotta pay me a little extra for that. And if I was them, I'll probably be asking for a bag too. But Marquise, I'm pretty sure he did that shit. He was like, hey, y'all gonna fill me up? Shit, I'll take that for donuts. 3 women filling me up? Let's go. Just give me a case of beer and I'm good. Like, come on, man. But yeah, the Tiffany dolls don't get rubbed up at all. But yeah, Dr. Love is pretty much talking about like the Tiffany dolls, all the functionalities that they got. I guess the dolls themselves, which is confusing to me because I'm like, okay, what are they? AI robots? Are they just dolls? Like, what are they? Because she's talking about some damn, oh yeah, like these dolls, they get wet and blah blah blah, this that and the other. They shit vibrates, this that and the other. Yeah, and I can understand, like, they got like little motors in them, little computer chips and what have you, for the pleasure part, but it turned into some real ex machina shit when they was talking about like, oh yeah, she could get wet on her own and this, that, and the other. And I'm just like, okay. I'm intrigued. How can I get one? But yeah, it was definitely very funny to see that. But peeking in the background, I guess, is bootleg Paul Pierce. And mind you, like, he's just peeking in the background. He's in the back watching the presentation, on some like fucking paparazzi on on not the Thriller video, but the Billie Jean video, just looking in the back and shit. Y'all know what I'm talking about. If you ever watched the Billie Jean video, it's that video where Michael Jackson, he's just walking around and shit, and you got this paparazzi dude that's just creeping up after him, just looking around and shit. That's how fucking the Paul Pierce dude, like, that's the vibe that dude gave me. He was just in the background lurking, like, ooh, what's happening here? Like, like, dude, like, don't be weird. Just grab a seat and watch, But anyway, bootleg Paul Pierce dude comes in the next day into Guilty Pleasures, and he asks for the Tiffany doll. Marcus, the security guard, he was like, I don't remember seeing you there at the presentation. How did you see? And I'm thinking to myself, like, Marcus, you're the security guard. You check these people's ID. I'm pretty sure you would have remembered this dude because he's very distinctive looking. And we all know, I'm pretty sure we all had that situation where we kind of remember a distinctive looking motherfucker. There's always something interesting about that person and their appearance, And I'm just like, how did you not remember this guy's face? Like, this guy is very distinctive looking. It's going to be hard to forget him. And not only that, the store is not that big. And the presentation was literally right out in the open of the store. How do you not see him? Like, how do you not see this guy sitting there? So that's where it dawned to me, like in this movie, like a lot of these people have very poor facial recognition or facial memory, of people. So bootleg Paul Pierce comes in. He ends up buying the Tiffany doll in full. He takes his doll and he takes his doll to a hotel for a night of passion. Now, what happens next is that the story is being told in more of a flashback. I mean, you couldn't really tell that it's a flashback unless you're paying attention to the dialogue, because they're in this scene, they don't really give it like a flashback type of look. It just looks like it's happening in real time and what have you. I mean, what they probably could have did was give it more of like a, I want to say, transition where like it's like a, I forget the other cut. It's like a J cut or an L cut, where like they play like part of the, and I'm sorry to speak in like film terms, but I feel like they should have did it to where like, you have part of the sound playing from like the memory or the flashback, and kind of like, have like the scene transition into that flashback scene. If not that, maybe do a color correction where like the scene could have been like a more of an orangey look. And sometimes we kind of I feel like, for at least for me, I kind of feel like I associate a lot of orange color correction sometimes with like memory and what have you, for whatever reason. I don't know. But I feel like that would have been like a good way of having it as a flashback memory or a flashback to what happened. Maybe changing up the scene, maybe like dulling out the colors, maybe turning the scene into a black and white. That probably would have helped the film a lot. But either way, what happened next in this film is still hilarious. Because bootleg Paul Pierce takes his Tiffany and he's just like all nervous. He's like, "Oh my God, yes, I can't believe we're here together." He doesn't say those words specifically, but it comes off as like that, And he's just like, "Oh yeah, Tiffany, I hope you're enjoying your night together with me. And it's so cringe, but it's so funny at the same time. Because it's like, dude, she's a doll. Like, come on, man. And it's just like, come on. But it's so funny because you see Tiffany on the bed. She's kind of like dolled up, and she looks all fancy like Mary J. Blige and shit. And it's funny because it's like she looks at old boy while he's like pouring up his drinks and what have you. And this motherfucker, keep in mind, this fool takes this girl to a hotel. He takes his doll to a hotel. This fool is drinking water. He's not even drinking like champagne or anything, which also would have equally been weird. But this fool is drinking water. And you know what he tells the Tiffany doll? Like later on in the scene, he's like, "Oh yeah, this water would get us loose." When I heard that shit, I died. I was like, "Hey, yo, what are you talking about, bruh?" Like, come on. But that shit was funny to me. I was like, "Yo, water will get us loose." Okay, my boy. But yeah, but in the same scene, she's looking at him, but then she looks away as he turns around. And that's where it got me wondering, like, okay, what are these dolls supposed to be? Which still is unanswered to me. I mean, apparently these motherfuckers are AI, obviously, because later on we see Dr. Love with Marcus in the bed. I guess they're fucking for reasons. But she tells him, a guy that doesn't know much about science and technology, which is still funny to me that she trusted him with like these codes, because again, he doesn't know much about science or technology, and he does give that implication with his vibes, like, "Yo, I don't fuck with this science shit." With the way he talks to her. But it's like she gives him some codes just in case if the Tiffany dolls go crazy. And you think to yourself, like, why would the Tiffany dolls go crazy? Like, why is this even a setup, my boy? Like, what is going on? But yeah, we learned that the Tiffany dolls are somewhat, I guess, AI made, and that they are moving on their own. But at the same time, we don't know, are they supposed to move on their own? Because again, the film doesn't really have a continuity where it's like it tells us, oh yeah, these dolls are supposed to move on their own. We just see them moving on their own, and we know they're supposed to move on their own because they're reasons. But for the characters in the film, they're surprised when they see these dolls moving on their own or just like blinking and what have you. And you see that when one of the characters is like, oh, did you just blink? So it was confusing for me because I'm like, yo, like, can we like have a continuity of like, yo, are these dolls supposed to move or are they not supposed to move? But anyway, moving forward. So bootleg Paul Pierce is like getting ready. He sits down with Tiffany. He's like pouring himself a drink, a water, by the way. They're in this hotel room. He gets a knock at the door. That's his ice and what have you. So he gets his ice. Tiffany disappears. Again, and this is where it gets even more confusing on, do these motherfucking dolls supposed to move or are they not? This dude goes, huh, Tiffany, you're playing hide and seek. Where did you go? like, if that was me in that situation, I would get the fuck out of there. Like, I would get the fuck out of there. I'm sorry, but as a black person, we always talk about like, oh man, I wouldn't do that. That's some white people shit. That was the biggest white people shit ever. Like, that motherfucker sitting in the fucking hotel room, doll disappear. The motherfucker's dick is all hard and shit for this doll and all that. And it's just like, bro, like, get the fuck out of there. I would assess the situation and be like, yeah, the doll disappeared, but is the doll supposed to disappear? I don't think so. I think I need to get the fuck out of here. So, yeah, so it ends up like he's looking for the doll. He goes into the bathroom. Tiffany comes in and smacks the shit out of this motherfucker with an iron. And this shit is so funny because the dude is just like, like getting smashed on. And it's like, you see him just laid out in the shower with like just a cut over his head. It's so funny. The cut wasn't even deep and shit, but the shit looks so hilarious. So yeah, that shit was funny. And then what's even more funny is that I guess the dude was playing like two characters because we see this same Paul Pierce looking motherfucker dry humping a Tiffany doll. And it's so funny because it's like, again, like I gotta say, I'm pretty sure the Tiffany dolls were like, well, the Tiffany people, I should say, were okay with like playing these dolls and maybe doing like simulated sex acts. But full on nudity, they weren't down for that shit. And they weren't down for like fully nude simulated sex scenes. Because dude had his fucking boxers on, humping the fucking doll. And I guess it's supposed to be him fucking the doll. She still got on like her little negligee and what have you. So I can understand. And here's the thing, in real life situation, if you're fucking a doll, and I'm speaking on as far as like what's happening in this universe, if they're supposed to be fucking a doll, they're gonna take the doll's underwear off. I would assume. I mean, I can understand maybe like, okay, they leave the top part negligee on. Okay, I'm fine with that understanding. But I'm pretty sure like the underwear would have came off. And I'm pretty sure for the guy, if he wanted to fuck with clothes on, I'm pretty sure pants would be down and boxers would be down too. You know what I'm saying? And there are ways I feel like they could have filmed that scene But again, like this movie is so intentionally bad or unintentionally bad. And I'm gonna say this. I hope that they weren't expecting it to be good and that they filmed this as a big troll. Because this shit was the most funniest shit ever. Just to see a motherfucker dry humping a character. Then he's making like the ejaculation noises, like, you know, and it's like, dude, like, you got your underwear on and we know you didn't do anything because they actually filmed him and you can see like the little pee hole in the underwear, you know, the little pee pocket, what have you. And it's like, yo, hey, yo, like, come on, man. Y'all really did a bad job with this one. Why you do your mans like that? But anyway, bootleg Paul Pierce, after he was done fucking the Tiffany doll, he ends up going to the back, because they were fucking in the restroom. So he ends up going to the back. I forgot what he was doing in that scene, but Tiffany got up, you know, and this is, I believe this was Mahogany Darkwater's Tiffany, because they had several other actresses that were playing Tiffany. And I think with the first Tiffany doll, I think it might have still been not Tiffany, but it might have still been Mahogany, but she just had her hair done differently. But anyway, like, this is the character that we see on like all the fucking advertisements. We see that Tiffany, you know, with the purple streaks in her hair and everything like that. You know, she gets up and then she starts attacking this motherfucker again. It's like, how you play two characters and they both die? Come on, man. It's like Ludacris when he got beat up by Terrence Howard in 2 movies. This, I don't know if y'all remember, but Ludacris got beat up in both Hustle and Flow and Crash. And those movies came out relatively in the same fucking year, yo. It was so funny because I was thinking to myself, I was probably like early, like either late high school or early college, and I kept thinking to myself like, hey, yo, why they do my boy Ludacris so dirty, bro? This dude got his ass whooped in 2 movies. 2 movies, and they were both by Terrence Howard. Like, but yeah, just like with bootleg Paul Pierce, this dude had 2 fucking characters. Bootleg Paul Pierce had 2 fucking characters in this movie and got his ass whooped twice. Twice, my boy. Like, come on. But those were all the things that I liked about Tiffany the doll. I would go into more, but I mean, if y'all want to, you know, learn more about why I like this film, you know, shoot your boy a message on social media. But anyway, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and jump into the slasher corner. So yeah, I will be right back. And we are back with the Slasher Corner. So as y'all know, I usually suggest a Slasher Corner movie of the week. And it doesn't have to necessarily be a slasher, but it could be any type of horror movie that you guys should possibly check out. And this week is going to be none other than Tiffany the fucking doll. I'm sorry. I hate to put the movie that I'm talking about as the Slasher Corner movie of the week, but I'm just saying, like, watch this motherfucker. Just watch this motherfucker. The motherfucker's on Tubi. Definitely check it out. It's not a long film. I believe it's about an hour and some change. Not even over like the average hour and 20 minutes to hour and 30. It's literally under that. So definitely check out Tiffany the doll. Alright, so that will be it for today. So yeah, definitely shouts out to my boys Algorithm C, Callie the Wolf for supplying the beats to the show. If you want to check out my social medias, those social medias are Walter Doom on Instagram, the Walter Doom on TikTok and Twitter. Walter Doom anywhere else streaming, which is on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever. If you see my podcast, give your boy a follow, a like, subscribe. And, for people out there listening on YouTube, definitely give your boy a like, comment, subscribe. And after that, it's pretty much it. This has been another episode of Let's Talk About Horror. And oh my God, you guys, the audience, you guys are the ones that are the real MVPs, because y'all are listening to this shit. But anyway, I am going to get out for today. This has been another episode of Let's Talk About Horror. This is America. Don't let them catch you slipping now. Stay diabolical, people. Peace.